So good afternoon to our next webinar. Today we are going to continue high availability cluster maintenance mode. So that's the part 2. We will make some more exercises comparing to the first webinar, where we were showing what's new in the new DSS v7 UP56, and we were showing how the maintenance mode works, and we were replacing the whole cluster node. Today we are going to show few small things, or maybe some bigger things. Just enable disable cluster, of course. Maintenance mode, we will show how to, let's say, reconfigure the ping node, very easy thing. We will show how to reconfigure or replace the card while in production, so without downtime. And also we are going to delete the one storage unit in production and replace it. So let's start. I will just switch to our environment. Okay, so we have the two DSS v7 node A, node B running already as a virtual machines that will be very easy for us to emulate the defects, like deleting a network card or like then deleting a storage. So these both two virtual machines are up and running. We have the GUI access here, right? So maybe I will put the full screen mode. So that's the first one. Failover status, everything is up and running. So okay, I have both on remote node, so maybe I will just load the balance and move this to my local node. Okay, maybe I will introduce how the virtual machines are configured. So the first virtual machine has 4 adapters. Okay, 2 adapters are in use, which are connected in VM network, and 2 adapters are connected to no adapters network, right? So I'm not using them at all. That's my boot disk, so in DSS v7 just 2 giga, and that's my storage disk, very small, just 100 giga. Okay, that's the first machine. I have 4 cores, 4 giga RAM. Okay, same story here. That's the second virtual machine. 2 cards are in use, 2 cards are not connected. I will show you also the environment networking. So I have one switch when everything is connected here. So I have also SCSI VM kernel at 2122. So I will be showing the high available storage, which is created by the DSS v7 cluster here as well. And this switch, which has no adapters, so these cards are connected to this switch, which are actually not connected. Okay, so storage, that's HA iSCSI 0, HA iSCSI 1. So you see here we have a storage exported. Okay, storage adapter, that's our storage adapter, both to iSCSI disks, 10 gig in 11 gig disk. Yeah, okay, so we know already how it is configured. Our cluster is up and running. The very first thing we need to notice, status maintenance node is on, right? So that's new. In the previous version it was not existing. So how to switch it on? This is done on the console, so I need to switch to console of my DSS. Okay, and Control Alt X, admin is my password, and that's the new stuff, maintenance mode. So now it is enabled, so when I disable, everything is as it was before. So now we see the maintenance is off. So it is on the A, and on the B, same story. It is switching off on both nodes automatically. Okay, so you see the B is off and the A is off as well. So maybe I will come back here, Control Alt X, admin, cluster maintenance mode. Okay. Okay, so after applying, you see automatically we have this on. And of course on both sides. This is on and the A is on. Very easy. So the first thing, our goal today is show how to reconfigure the ping node. Let's say the 40, I need to reconfigure for 41. So maybe I will go to my network and maybe I will configure new ping node. Okay, so add ping node, that's the VM kernel. Okay, I will say just new ping node and then 192.168, that will be 0.41. Okay, that's my new ping node, for example. Okay, so I have the new ping node already existing. So how to configure now? Very easy. When we stop, we can stop and enable virtual IPs. Okay, so I'm stopping now. While stopping, we can just go to storage and see and browse both, and to see if there is any problem with this. Okay. We can just rescan to make sure everything works well. Okay, we have ready to start. So cluster is not running now. While cluster is not running, so we can, let's say, reconfigure. I can remove this ping node and I can add 192.168.0.41. Okay, so that was easy. So we can start the cluster again, and now what we need to do, we need to see whether our both storage are up and running and working all the time. So you can have the full production, no problem at all. Starting cluster in maintenance mode takes at least 1 minute longer than non-maintenance mode, because in the maintenance mode we are just allowing more non-standard stuff which we were blocking in the past. Now cluster is already up and running, local remote, everything is started, so we are happy now. Okay, that was the first point. The second point which we want to show today, let's say my replication link is broken, so there will be no more replication between nodes. So how to emulate this? Let us go to the VMware, to the second machine, and go to edit. And now I need to identify which these two cards are connected, but which one is my replication. So this one is a 38 on the end, I see here. Okay, and this one is for 56, right? So that's the card which we need to identify. So I will go to the B. Yes, I on the B now, right? And I go to setup network cards. My I know that ETH1 is the one which I'm replicating, so that's the 1221, and I see the 9338, just a 38 on the end. So the 38 is the MAC address of my card here. So when I switch to this one, so okay, that's the 38. You see this one has a 56 on the end, 4C, 42, and then 38. That's my card. So I'm replicating over this card. So what happened when I will just now try to somehow maybe, you know, deleting, it will take some time. So I have decided to just reconnect the card to the no adapter switch, okay? So when I'm reconnecting this, what happened with our cluster now? So we could expect that cluster will switch to the degraded mode because there will be no more replication running between nodes. So I have already the message not synced. Okay, cluster switch modus to degraded. Yes, there is no more redundancy, but everything stay activity as it was. So the first resource pool, which was active on A, so the here local node is active on A, and the B is staying active on B. So because now it's active on when we are on A, it's showing active on remote mode node, right? So nothing bad happened now for the production. The only thing what happened that the volumes are not mirrored anymore. Okay, so maybe we will make some changes on the volumes. So I can, for example, go to the first one and maybe copy this, maybe copy, maybe create a new directory. Okay, maybe switch, maybe paste. So I make some changes. These changes will be not replicated to another node, of course. Good. So now let us repair the problem. So we have maybe find out that the maybe fiber optic module is bad or something wrong, and then we are not able to use this card. So we need to take a spare card, a different card, or reconfigure our cluster. Maybe when it was bonding, then remove the bonding and to get some adapters which is working, which is free to be replaced. Okay, so in my case I will just stop the cluster services with enable virtual IP. So when we are stopping and enabling virtual IP, our production will still continue to be served. Okay, no downtime at all. But in order to reconfigure the network, we will need to also disconnect both cluster nodes, so unbind them, because as the nodes are binded, there is no way to reconfigure the network, which is used for the cluster, right? So now it says ready to start. Our volumes are available. So we go to the volume replication now on A. And I will just, it says not reachable because I was removing the connection, so I can go and disconnect. So making disconnect first step is a good idea. Okay, so let us see whether it is disconnecting. Maybe we'll have, okay, it was disconnected already. Super. Let us go to the second node. On the second node, configuration and volume replication, this is still somehow remember connected, because when I was in order to disconnect on both, there must be connection, but it was no connection, so I'm disconnecting only the config files locally. Okay, so I need to manually disconnect on both. Okay, disconnecting, it makes that the all tasks are deleted and all the cluster settings are also deleted, no more. Good. So what will be the next step? Next step, we need to find which card we want to use instead of this first card of this ETH1, which was used for the volume replication. So we can go to the VMware, and I will open the console for the second server. Okay, something one more time. Okay, so I need to refresh it. Okay, control. We see the ETH 0, 1, 2, and 3. The previous screen was not refreshed from my previous testing. Okay, so now Control Alt and oh, I need to click on it, and then Control Alt N for network. And we know that this card is here. It shows as running because I'm connected to the switch, but this switch has, of course, not the cards. That's why it is showing here as a running, but this card is no more in service. So I will just go and deactivate this card. Okay, so I will just deactivate this card, and I will take the next one and configure this as virtual IP, which was using for ETH1, right? So we are deactivating, so this card is deactivated. So now let us edit this ETH2, which is not connected, not used, and let us assign the IP as it was for ETH1. Okay, so I go inside, edit, just change. Okay, so now when I go to the network interfaces, ETH2 supposed to have already 1.2.2.1. In ETH1 is not active. Okay, it's not activated, so it's ready maybe for activate because the card is not really faulty. I could delete this card in VMware, but then I will need to reboot the virtual machine, so it will take longer time. So let us save time. Okay, so now we have a new card. Let us still see what happened here. Is it okay? I will still refresh with F5. Okay, good. We can see ETH2 now is 192.168.1.2.1. So that's our card, which is good for the volume replication. Let's say in your production you will have more complicated, you will have more cards. So for the temporary, you can use even your management port cards, which I just use for management for the volume replication and for the for binding both nodes if there will be no other adapters, for example. And then after getting sync, you will be able to move everything to node A, let's say, and then you can power off node B and replace the cards, everything, and then later again reconfigure the cluster new from scratch with the using maintenance mode, right? So now I will need to reconfigure my cluster again. So now I go to the volume replication, and I can already enter my IP address, which is now supposed up and oh, I have forgotten one thing, because now on the ETH2, which is 42 on last segment of the MAC address, let us switch to we need to switch to virtual machine, and this 42 adapter, that's this one, right? And this ETH1 adapter that was 38, right? So 38 is no adapters, and ETH2, which is 42, need to be connected. So I need to reconnect to my switch, otherwise there will be no way to connect both each other. Okay, so I have connected this, otherwise I will have just an error trying to bind them. Okay, so 192.168.1.2.2.1. Okay, so connect. Super, they are connected now, so we can just recreate our tasks. And then I can start this task, and then I can expect that here there will be replicating some changes, this task when will be just running, because I was copying my image to new folder directory. So okay, now it started. So now you see the destination is inconsistent, and then it's very short because it was just half a gigabyte. So now it's consistent, but you see it was replicating the deltas. Okay, let us create on the B the task as well, because the second one is source on B. So we can just we can just recreate this task and start this task on B. Okay, so now everything is started. The iSCSI target configuration, it's staying untouched, so we don't need to reconfigure this. Just last three things like auxiliary path, ping nodes, and resource pools. So we are again on the first auxiliary path, so heartbeat goes with replication on this 221. So before both were ETH1, now the second is ETH2. And iSCSI export and the web access is on ETH0, right? So I use the second heartbeat path on ETH0 as it was before. Now my ping node, so 192.168.0.30, that's my first ping node, and 192.168.0.40, that's my second ping node. Okay, both are reachable, and now we just need to reconfigure the virtual IP addresses. The virtual IP addresses go on ETH0 255 regular class C, and my IP addresses are 192.168.21.100. Okay, if you forget this, you can just go to the VMware, to the storage adapters, and in iSCSI you can go to properties and see how your iSCSI adapter, so initiator, is configured, right? So make sure you put exactly the same IP addresses, because currently there is no validation for this, and then you must put exactly the same, otherwise there will be a connection lost. Okay, so now we have again ETH0, sorry, on both sides, and the 192.168.22.100. Okay, so I add it. Again, our volumes are up and running all the time, so there is no problem. Everything is up and running. So now we need to configure the targets to the resource pools. I'm on A, so the first pool is listed as A, and then the B is listed as a second. Okay, same on the second one. Good, so we are done. Here we have replication task, and here we have replication task. So on A we see this at M00, and the one from B we see also this what is on this machine. So here on this machine we show reverse, of course, but this is a normal situation. If I will switch to B and go to failover, then when I'm on B, then the B1 is listed first, and the B1 is listing M0001 as a own, and the one which is active on A is listed as a second. And here, of course, when we are on the second one on the B, so we have seen then a reverse task. Yeah, that's the design. Okay, we are on B now. I switch to A again, check everything. So here is a task, here is a task, everything is proper. Virtual IP, just last check. So I have a ETH0, ETH0, on the both ETH0 they are exported. Exactly the same path exporting the second target. So here I have 2200 and 2100. Okay, super. There is no error, so we can start the services again. Okay, we are starting now, so that will be the second goal of our today evening, that we are reconfiguring the network cards while in production, so with no downtime. And the very last will be, let's say, delete the storage, right? So I will delete the storage on the node B, and let us see what's going on. So okay, I have everything up and running, so I was successfully managed to replace the card. Okay, so again now I go to the virtual machine. I will go to B, okay, and on the B I will go to the setup, okay, to the edit settings, sorry, and in the edit settings I have here, that's my boot disk, so I will leave it. Let's say my array, which is in this case just a 100 giga disk, this disappear. So I will just remove from disk, so I really lose the array. So what happened now? We are expecting I/O errors, of course, on this machine, and you see this machine is already power off. This is the expected action, because in case of lost array we need failover, of course. And then when I'm on the node A now, so you see the node A showed degraded mode, and everything is everything supposed to be moved to the local node after refresh, of course, right? So sometimes refreshing takes few seconds, and after refreshing we see both storage volumes. So the one which was active on A staying active on A, or actually yes, and the second was active on B, now is switched to A. But there is no more volume replication, there is no sync, because the array on the B disappear. Okay, so again, in such situation, the best will be to stop the cluster running with the enable virtual IP, and after stopping the cluster, the first point will be disconnecting, so disconnecting both nodes. Okay, that was the mistake which I was just doing yesterday, because repeating this webinar I didn't disconnect, and then later I was by mistake deleting the first again. Okay, but today I will not make this mistake. So after stopping the cluster, we can see our cluster is stopping. We can see our high available storage, which is available all the time, so production is up and running. Okay, it shows ready to start, means it is already stopped. And of course we get information that the remote node is not reachable, because we are not able to make this stopping on both, because the second one is just power off, right, at this moment. Okay, so now we go to our, we stay on the node A, and we will just go to the volume replication and we will just disconnect, right? So everything is sourced here. Our RAID array on B just gone. So let's say we have replaced already the RAID array on B. How to do it in the virtual environment? It is very easy. We can just add new disk. That's why I like virtual environment, because we can simulate any possible error just with seconds. Okay, so disk is there. So now I will start this machine. So the second machine with the new from scratch array is just booting. And after booting, of course, we will have the system volume missing, because the system volume was also on this array. The IP addresses should stay, because the IP addresses were stored on the boot media. So on the boot media we are storing also configuration files. So the network didn't change at this moment, just array change. So the system volume which is storing also a set of configurations files will be missing. So we need to just make sure that the volume, that the cluster services showing disconnected, and then we can start the reconfiguration. Okay, so it is almost up and running. So once booted, we can switch to the GUI. Again, I just want to remind you, the first things we will need to check that after creating volume group, that there is no host binding in configured. So we need to clean this, and then we can, okay, so B, just on the B we can reload the page. Okay, volume groups, and you see there is no volume group, so we need to recreate a volume group new from scratch. And once the volume group is created, then we need to recreate the volumes which are exactly the same which are on A. So let us just to remind us what kind of volumes we have. So we have a 10 giga volume and 11 giga volumes, so 2 volumes for load balance, right? So super. Now I switch to B, and then once the volume group is created, we can create the both iSCSI volumes. Okay, use volume replication and 10 gig in this case. So we just wait until the replication show. Okay, that's first one is already done, and one more time. Our second volume. Good, both are created. So now you see somehow in some config there is info which was stored in the on the boot media, so we need to disconnect this, otherwise you will have the similar problem that you will be not able to configure the targets or this kind of stuff. So now we are disconnected. Both are created as a source, so we need to switch to destination, of course. And just in case, clear metadata, so clear metadata for the first and clear metadata for the second as well. This will be allowing the replication at once, because sometimes this application will be not sure whether you have proper data or not, and then to make sure that it will override without any question just after creating and switching to destination, clear extra clear metadata. Okay, super. So now we are ready to bind. So I will switch to A again. So we go to volume replication, and then I will just enter 192.168.1.221. Once the nodes are binded, we need to recreate the task and start the tasks. Okay. So that's the first task. Note, both tasks we need to start now on A, right? And the second one. You can clean both at the same time. So it was the question about cleaning the metadata. But sometimes I have seen some problems, so I'm prefer to cleaning once a time. Otherwise, when something not really clean, then when starting task you will have an error starting task. So that's it. Okay, so I'm starting the first one, I'm starting the second one, and let us see in status tasks whether everything is started properly. I'm still on A. Okay. So now, of course, if you have just terabyte or plenty terabytes of storage, it will take time to replicate, and you can start the cluster, but okay, so both, you see, both show inconsistent, and both show the replication speed at the time. So in my case, because it's just 10 giga, so the time is below 1 minute. And it will be consistent very quickly. In A, we have configured targets, of course, but in B, because we have lost the volume, system volume, these settings are lost as well. So copy, and I switch to B and go to the iSCSI targets. Okay, here we need to recreate this target. Again, we are just removing from the target syntax the server name. Okay, so target number 0, and here we will just override, so paste the SCSI ID from the first one. and I go back and go to target 1, copy the SCSI ID and switch back to B. Now I need to recreate the second target. Okay, then I'm selecting second target, and then here I will be overwriting the SCSI ID. Okay, that's it. We can now switch back to A and then continue a cluster reconfiguration. So the auxiliary path is on 0, 0, so ETH0, ETH0. Our ping nodes 192.168.0.30, that's the first one. Okay, 192.168.0.40, that's the second one. By the way, this 40, that's my Jovian, which is running the whole storage as a virtual machine in my testing environment. I will show you this on the end. So now the resource pool manager, okay, node A, we need to recreate our first resource pool of the cluster 192.168.2100. On A, first one is 21, of course. And the second virtual IP, same story, 192.168.2200. If you use always the same logic for naming virtual IPs, then will be very easy. So I do always recommend to use a kind of clear logic in the virtual IP. So 2100, that's the first one, and 2200, the second one, 0220, 0221, and the same story here. So we sure there is no mistake here. We can just add the target 0 first. Okay, and we need to add also the last target to the resource pool. So now, once this is added, our configuration is completed. So here we have target, here we have target, and here we have both virtual IP address 21 and 22. So everything is correct. We have both reachable, we have both auxiliary. Okay, so we can start our cluster now. So of course, starting the cluster, we will be removing this temporary virtual IP on which the whole production is running now, both of course, and both will be swapped with the real virtual IP from the cluster, which will be of course switchable and failover able, right? So will be enabled for failover in case of a failure coming. So we have done this quite quickly. So with explanation, we have done 3 different exercises like reconfiguring ping node, reconfiguring the network adapter, reconfiguring storage new from scratch is just 47 minutes. So it's a good time. If we will not need to explain, it will be even faster. So many different exercises. Of course, we are going to make one more webinar showing, let's say, removing the card which is on iSCSI exports. This will behave a bit different, of course, but the logic is always the same, right? So now we have everything started now, and of course everything is working. So everything is started on the local node right now. So both resource pool are started here. So if so they are active here. So if I want this one to be active on B, I need to move, of course, right? So there is a small difference now. Thanks to maintenance mode, we are able to start both resource pool from the node A, right? So it was not possible in the previous versions, but now it is possible. So now we will have balance. So the first resource pool is active local, second resource pool is active on a remote node. And if we go to the configuration volume replication, then we see already source, and the second is the destination here. And when I go to B, then of course I have an opposite situation on the volume replication. The first is a destination here on the B, and the second is a source on the B, right? And the difference is that both tasks on B in this case show a reverse because we were defining them on A, and the both tasks show on the A without the reverse because when we were starting the cluster, everything was active here. There will be also a way to make it as usual, so you will need to again stop the cluster with the running virtual IP, disconnect both nodes, right, and recreate the tasks, the one which is active on B from A, which is active on B from B, and then recreate the cluster. So it will be also very fast reconfiguration, but you can leave like this as well, right? Okay, so we are done for today. I was just promising you to show you that what is the number 40, because the 30 is my host, and in the networking I was creating 41 ping node just to demonstrate how to change the IP, but here on the boot there is a Jovian running, and this Jovian has a IP 40. So if I switch to my Jovian, that's the IP which we are pinging here in our cluster, and then one is a VMware host and another one is a Jovian, which is managing all this stuff here and showing, exporting this as in my case not iSCSI, but exporting this as a data set. So we are exporting this as an NFS, and when I go to my VMware, then you see of course my storage NFS, that's the local storage which is exported by Jovian, and in advanced settings our LSI adapter HBA is shown as a pass-through, which is fully passed to the Jovian, and the Jovian is dealing here as a storage manager for our testing environment. Okay, so super. We are done with the demo today, and all completed. So I just using this opportunity, I just want you, if you will be in Hanover, invite you to visit us in our stand in Hall 12 this year, stand A68-2. We will be happy to make some new demonstration also, which is coming with our Jovian. That will be new functionality which is send receive based, so asynchronous delta based volume replications to local pools or to another Jovian which is in the network, or to the collocation. That will be a big important feature. And also we will launch and demonstrate all this new feature from DSS v7 which is you know, this which we are just showing today, high availability maintenance mode, and replication for the MSP, so the backup to MSP. So if you will be in Hanover, just come and visit us. You are warm welcome. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for joining us, and watch soon. We will be showing next webinar about the high availability maintenance mode, which we will show some other examples of here, of the failures, of course, and how to manage them. So thank you very much, and bye.